The Hospital Shadow Horror Stories.
The hospital was unusually quiet for a Friday night. The usual buzz of nurses and patients seemed muted. Samantha, a new intern, was on her break, sitting on bench taking rest. Across the room, Mrs. Delaney, a long-term patient, sat in her wheelchair, looking at her.
Good evening, Mrs. Delaney. You're up late? Couldn't sleep?
Sleep doesn't come easy here, dear. This place, it holds too many memories.
What kind of memories? I've only been here a few weeks, but it feels different. Almost like the walls are watching.
You're perceptive. This hospital has a story, one I don't share often. But maybe it's time someone knew.
I'd love to hear it. Is it scary?
That depends on what scares you, dear. But I warn you, once you know the story, you'll never look at this place the same way again. It happened many years ago when this hospital was much smaller. Back then, it wasn't just a place for healing. It was also a sanatorium. People came here for hope, but not all of them left. There was one patient, a young man named Victor. No one knew where he came from. He was found wandering the streets, mumbling about shadows and voices. The police brought him here thinking he needed help. At first, he seemed harmless, just lost. But when the doctor spoke to him, he said things that sent chills through the room.
Victor, can you tell me where you're from? We'd like to help you.
Help? You can't help. They're already here, watching, waiting.
Who's watching, Victor? Is someone after you?
The shadows. They're always here. Don't you see them? They're in the corners, in the light. They follow everyone.
Victor, you're safe here. There are no shadows.
Oh, but there are. You just don't want to see them yet. But you will, soon enough.
Victor rarely slept. He would sit in his room muttering to himself, staring at the walls. One night, a nurse checked on him, and what she heard shook her.
Victor, why are you awake? It's late.
They don't sleep, neither can I.
Who doesn't sleep, Victor?
The ones who whisper. They tell me things. About you, about this place.
What do they say?
That you shouldn't stand so close to the door. They like doors.
The nurse stepped back, glancing at the door. A faint sound of scratching echoed from the hallway. The shadows seemed to grow darker wherever Victor went. One evening, a janitor saw him standing in the hallway, staring at the floor. The janitor tried to get him back to his room, but the conversation was unsettling.
Victor, you're not supposed to be out here. Let me help you back to your room.
Do you see it?
See what?
The crack. The one they slipped through.
What crack? The floor's fine.
Not for long.
Suddenly, the lights flickered, and the janitor swore he saw a non-human entity in that flickering lights. Victor's presence became unbearable. Lights would fail, cold spots appeared in the halls, and whispers filled the air. One night, everything came to a head. The doctors tried to sedate him, but he was calm, too calm.
Victor, you need to rest. We're trying to help you.
You don't understand. It's not me that needs help. It's them. They're angry. They've been here too long.
Who's angry, Victor? Tell us.
The shadows. You opened the door when you brought me here. Now they'll never leave.
That night, the entire wing where Victor was staying went dark. The backup generators didn't work, and the air grew cold. When the lights finally returned, Victor was gone. His room was empty, but the walls, they were marked with scratches deep and jagged like claw marks. And the worst part? The shadows didn't leave. They stayed.
Later that night, Samantha walked through the dimly lit halls on her rounds. Victor's story haunted her. Suddenly, she heard it, a faint whisper.
Don't follow.
She turned to see a shadow move across the floor, stretching toward her. The air grew cold, and distant laughter echoed through the hall.
Victor?
The laughter stopped, and the shadow retreated into the corner, leaving her frozen in fear. The next morning, Samantha found a note in her locker.
The shadows remember. Don't let curiosity guide you where it shouldn't.
Moral of the story: curiosity can uncover the unknown, but some truths are better left undiscovered. Respect the boundaries between the known and the mysterious, for some secrets bring more harm than understanding.